Let's get the people what they want.
The Wade-O Radio Show.
What happens if you never go to North Dallas, bro? What is your life like? Have you ever thought about that?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. If I'd have never went to UNT, I probably would have been in Houston and having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. Now, God is all powerful.
Sure.
Can do anything.
Sure.
But man, I was so prideful, arrogant. I was so combative. I was so competitive, uncontrollably competitive. And I was also, I tell everybody, I'm a reformed, redeemed womanizer. Like, bro, I just had horrible upbringing in the sense of when it came to, let me say it a different way. My mom raised me well. I had horrible influences coming up when it came to women. I had relatives. I had male relatives who used to be like, bro, you need to have a woman in every city. If you traveling, you need a woman in every state. Like, that's literally what I was taught. So it was just, you grow up a certain way, you think a certain way. It wasn't easily coming out of me. It wasn't easily moving away. And God had to do a lot of pruning, but he really did use the community to do it.
So that's what I was going to say. I mean, you know, when I talked to Show about that time, and I've talked to him a few times. That was actually the first time I met him in person. It was the first time I met you in person too. Was his Turn My Life Up release.
I remember.
I came and did an interview.
Yep, I remember.
Did an interview with them, and that was the first time I met you in person. And when I was in college, I want to say this about Plumline. When I was in college, I had people trying to get me to join college ministry because they knew I grew up in church, but I was definitely not. I was DJing all the clubs in DC. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I missed that college ministry experience. And I never forget when I came in, because I got flew down to Dallas and I hung out with Show at his crib that day, and then we drove out there. It was like some crazy traffic. There was some big accident or something. Like it's funny, we both remember that. And so we get there, and I never forget, we walked in, and it just hit me. I was just like, this is dope.
Yeah.
Like, this is so. Talk about what that community meant for you, because obviously you came in, you said you lived a lot of life.
Yeah.
You were still a little immature. Obviously your faith wasn't a mature faith at that point. It was still a baby faith at that stage. And so just talk about that time of just, because Show even said this too. He was just like, he's like, you know, Tedashii, he was just coming. It was like his homie was up there. He was just coming.
I was just showing up to visit.
Yeah.
So, man, one of the things that hit me, I'm living in Houston, and Keenan not only led me to the Lord, but we didn't call it discipleship at the time.
Yeah, but he was discipling you.
He was discipling me.
Yeah.
And Keenan was super influential in the things that I would learn, the things that I would think through, read, whatever. Well, he was always sending me little nuggets of wisdom and truth. So as I'm getting those nuggets, I'm like, yo, where are you hearing this stuff from?
Where are you getting it from?
I'm like, what are you doing? And so when he started telling me about what they were doing up there, I went to go visit. So after a while, I was like, yo, this is the move. I'm going to come up here and visit all the time.
And this is like before the internet and all of that.
This is before all of that, bro. It's for all of that. Like, I remember living, where I was living, me and my roommate, we had a desktop, and we had Netscape.
Okay.
Like, it was Netscape. Remember Netscape? We had Netscape and Ask Jeeves.
Oh my god.
Like, that's what we had.
Jeeves had all the answers.
All the answers, bro. But it took so long to deal with computers that it was like, this is not normative. So why would I keep messing with this
on that
thing?
dial-up, on that good dial-up.
On that good dial-up, bro. So because it wasn't really like a for real social network online, then you had to go connect with people.
You had to go connect.
So, and then I'm the type of person, through therapy, I've dubbed myself hyper-relational.
Sure.
Like, I really am. Like, I'm the person that's like, I ain't seen you in 40 years, but we gonna act like we've been friends every day hanging out. Like, I just connect with people. So because of that personality trait, going there always felt good, because it was like, it's like I didn't miss a step with anybody. And then there was so many people trying to live for the Lord, or who was living for the Lord up there. So I had Keenan, you had Tedashii, you had Sho, you had their sister, you had who is now the sister's husband, me and our homie BJ.
Yep.
Cray was there.
Yep.
You had tons of other people. James, you met James before? James Roberson?
Oh, yeah.
Pastor?
Bro. James got a story he always tell about me.
For real?
I helped him get his space in Brooklyn.
For real?
Just randomly. So random. Bro.
I never knew that.
They first space, the bridge was beating that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the way I started getting involved, I knew living in Houston, it clicked for me. Man, I need discipleship.
Yep.
Like I'm not okay here.
Yep.
On my own, this is when it clicked for me. I was working. I was working doing door-to-door sales for home security systems.
You done had a lot of jobs, bro.
I done worked a lot of jobs, bro.
Yeah.
So I was selling home security systems door-to-door. And I go and I knock on the door. I'm talking to the person. And the person's like, yo, man, I would love to do this system. Let's sign up. So I do it. I go from being the guy who's just new for like 4 months in a row being the top salesman. The old heads mad at me.
They mad.
They upset.
You done jumped the line.
Jumped the line.
Yeah.
So I hang with the old heads and they like, yo, man, let's talk. Let's go to lunch. I said, cool, we go to lunch. So we drive, we pull up to this spot and it's like a church. And I was like, oh, what's St. James? Y'all go here? And they were like, oh, no, we come here sometime, but nah. And we get out, we go in. We walk in and it is a strip club named St. James. Bruh, you want to talk about somebody running? I ran so fast. They said, where you going? I said, I don't go to these. That's all I remember saying. I don't go to these.
Yo.
I freaked out.
I was not expecting that.
Me either. That's how I felt. I was like, I don't go to these, and I just ran. Yo. So I sat outside, and they came out, and they were like, bro, what do you mean? You don't do this? I was like, no, man, I don't do that. Like, that's sin. I don't go there. Yeah. So they were like, okay, all right, well, you want to eat then? So we went to somewhere else. They was frustrated with me. So they was like trying to get my story to hear about me because I had been out selling them. Well, anyway, I go back to the office. A couple weeks go by. A new dude gets hired. I don't remember his first name. His last name was Smart. That's all I remember. But tall, white dude.
Yep.
Long story short, he ends up being a Christian as well. And we befriend one another. And I will never forget, he said, bro, how far do you live from here? I said like 3 miles. He said, so you walk to work every day and then you walk all day selling systems? I was like, yeah, bro, but I gotta work. I gotta make money.
Yeah.
He was like, man, I'm gonna give you a car.
Wow.
I said, excuse me? He said, I'm gonna give you a car. I said, oh, you gonna let me use it to get to work? He said, no, it's yours. I'm gonna sign the title over. And literally 2 days later, I went to his crib and him and his wife signed the title over to me. And like just God always brought blessings to me in that way. And so when I had his car, I remember riding his car, listening to music, headed to work. And I remember thinking like, God, you keep making a way, but I got to get out of this because this is not like, this is not going to sustain me. And I remember talking to Keenan about that. And he was like, man, you just got to get community. You by yourself. So I ended up meeting James and I sent James an email. I said, hey, I'd love to connect with you. I would love for you to disciple me from afar.
Yeah.
And here are the stipulations, bro. And I laid out everything. Part of the stipulation is that I would go visit. Yeah. So after all the times of going to visit, I was like, now I'm going to go with a purpose beyond just social.
Because James was already kind of pastoring at this point.
He was one of the main leaders of the ministry.
Okay.
So James and I would meet in person twice a month.
Yep.
And we would talk and connect. Other times would be email, other times would be phone. So after a year of that, I ended up moving up there. Wow. And bruh, moving there was one of the best decisions I ever made.
Wow.
Just because I learned what it meant to be a part of community. Because you have homies and everything is social, but Christian community is not just social. Yeah. It's a brotherhood. It's a connection beyond the social realm. I was like, okay, this is true koinonia. I got it. So I just dove in, bro. And then eventually, through Tedashii's leadership, I became a leader. I started leading the ministry pretty soon. Tedashii was like, you're my number 2. If I ever left, you got it. It just became a thing.
Dang.
So during that time, that's when me and Cray hit it off. Eventually, we started just hanging out more. Pretty soon we were roommates. Cray was like, I'm about to do this album. You want to do this album with me? And he put me on like 3 records and interludes, stuff like that. And then eventually they did a compilation.
Yep.
I did that. And then they were like, yo, we want you to do your own album. We think it'd be great. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm okay. They were like, why? I was like, because I'm going to be a college pastor and I'm going to teach. They were like, what?
You didn't view yourself as a rapper.
Not
like
at all.
You didn't see it.
Not at all. Not even, and especially not like them. To me, Show and Cray was phenomenal. Triple E for years was my favorite artist. I was like, he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
They are great at this. Why would I ever do that?
Yeah.
Especially when I enjoyed speaking, and all my family are educators, everybody.
Yep.
So they're either military or they're educators. So when my mom's growing up would always be like, all right, boy, you better go get a real job. It was like, yeah, I'm going to play football, and when that's done, I'm going to be a teacher. I'll be a coach. So that's what I was doing. Like, while I was living there, going to school and doing the ministry, I was working at the school. I was subbing. I got hired on at the school. My mom taught special needs kids, so I worked in the special needs classes.
Wow.
Like, that's what I planned to do. I was like, I'm going to be a teacher, a coach, do college ministry, and I'm going to live here. It's fine. They was like, bro, but you can rap. You got talent, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I'm good. And it just, all I had in my head was, this being an artist don't pay. Being an artist is shaky, it's flaky.
Yeah.
Like, you can't sustain life that way.
Yeah.
And when I saw the mission of it, not just the artistry of it, it hooked me.
When did y'all and how did the whole 116 concept?
So the ambassador, Deuce,
Yep.
came down. Him and Tedashii were close. And when he came down to Dallas, he came and spoke. They would speak all the time. They would do concerts.
Yep.
Pretty soon, Deuce would just come on his own.
Yep.
And so when the ambassador came through, he preached.
Because this was when he was at DTS, right? Was he still at DTS?
Yeah, he was at
Okay.
DTS.
Dallas Theological Seminary. Yep.
And so he preached, and he spoke on Romans 1:16. And for Lecrae and BJ, that just resonated.
That was it.
Heavily with them.
That was it.
So they kept saying it so much that all of us started saying it. And pretty soon, and at the time, I'm not living there yet. I'm just visiting. But it resonated so much that I'm saying it everywhere I go. So by the time I moved there, all we kept saying was we was 116, especially because we wanted to go on campus and just start talking to people as much as we could, telling people about the Lord. So 116 kind of was what we kept saying. So by the time we started doing the music, everything natural to us just came through the music. 116 was a part of it. Like, if it would have been amazing if that was a for real marketing strategy.
Yeah.
But that was just what we did.
That's just what it was.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Like, we had tats for that before we ever went out trying to do shows. It was like, no, I'm 116. That's just what it is. We had T-shirts. We had airbrush shirts with 116 on it, because it's just what it was. It's what it was, bro. It was like, that's just who we are, man. We 116.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful, man. Those I tell people all the time, man, colleges are some of the greatest places for the gospel to just permeate. Because people have so much energy. People are already thinking all the time out the box. There's creativity. People are from different places, so they bringing in different schools of thought.
Yeah, bro.
People ain't quite set in their ways yet, and it's just it's a beautiful thing, man.
It's a beautiful place, man. Now, so, like, for me, purpose-wise, I feel like God made me to be a creative communicator.
Sure.
Like, I believe that with all my heart.
Sure.
So one of the most beautiful things for me in life is when the light bulb moment happens for a person. So when I'm on campus, this is the irony of doing college ministry. You're talking to a person who acts like they know everything, while they yet and still pay money to a place to teach them things they don't know.
That's facts.
I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
That's good, bro.
You sitting here paying thousands of dollars to be told you don't know something, while you standing in front of me telling me you know it all.
Right.
What are you talking about? So I found myself very much so excited about going in and helping people have that light bulb moment.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, God is real.
Yeah.
Whoa, Jesus did die for my sin. Like, that moment, bruh, it gave me life. And now, I mean, and that's like the ultimate, but in any situation, when I see the light bulb come on for somebody in any regard, it's like, okay, good. I said something, I communicated well. But that's just been, that was the joy of it for me, man.
Yeah.
So going and doing the music, I brought that same passion to the music. It's like, what can I communicate? Like when I did Identity Crisis, I did Kingdom People because Kingdom People was me by myself.
Yeah.
Like we had a little studio in the back of the church. They like, go record, man. Whatever you got, we doing. So I recorded, made the music. They would come in. We was all homies. So we always throwing ideas off each other. When I did Identity Crisis, I wanted to do something to provide a light bulb moment. Yeah. Because I was like, I had never heard Imago Dei in anything musically. I had never heard anybody speak on it, talk about it. Maybe some seminary dude once or twice. But nobody had talked about it in our space, in our culture. So I was like, I'm gonna write about this. This is big. A light bulb moment is gonna happen for people. And then the same thing with Blacklight, the same thing with Below Paradise. It's like, I have to talk about the thing that nobody's talking about.
Thanks for tapping in, family. Please consider joining our Patreon community. 1, you'll get the rest of this interview, but 2, you'll be the first to know when we drop new content. Your support on Patreon really helps us continue to make this content and not have to rely on things like the YouTube algorithm, which can be extremely fickle. So we really appreciate you tapping in and joining us over on Patreon. The link is below. You can click it. We have a bunch of different tiers, a lot of really cool bonus features that you get depending on what tier you join. And you can basically decide to join at whatever level is comfortable for you. As always, thank you so much for your support, and I'll check you guys next video.